Will Monero have a pullback, or will we see a roar higher? Let's find out. First off, read this disclaimer carefully. This is Monero, a reasonably private digital currency. Monero is a cash for a connected world. It's fast, private, and secure. With Monero, you are your own bank. You can spend safely knowing that others cannot see your balances or track your activity. Yeah, it is secure, private, untraceable, and fungible. This is a very interesting cryptocurrency, and we will look at the charts. Here is the long-term picture for Monero versus the US dollar. XMR is the ticker. We get our data from Poloniex. There was a huge move here during the crypto bubble, and we have seen a rather substantial pullback from that high to the recent low. That was a minus 91% pullback. One of the things you need to be aware of in the cryptocurrency space is that there are extreme bull markets and also extreme bear markets. Hence, a 70 minus plunge and more, that is very normal in this space. Which begs the question, what is happening right now? We have seen from the low here a huge move. This is 64%. That's rather impressive. From a purely technical standpoint, we did make a low here, it was below that low, hence this is a new low. You cannot make the case that this is a double bottom. It simply is not. You have lower highs. This high is significantly lower than this one, lower low. Hence, this looks like a bounce in a downtrend. Unfortunately, we are below many key moving averages. However, the bulls have made some progress. The challenge going forward is that we have many resistance levels. You have this horizontal resistance level relating to this high. You have the 50-week moving average, the 100-week, and of course the all-important 200-week moving average. Let's look at daily data points. Yeah, here this is more constructive. We have just now broken out above the red 200-day moving average. Resistance, fail, try, and try. We regroup here at the 20-day moving average, then we make the push. This is very interesting. This is very intriguing. You are seeing that today we are surgically meeting resistance at the blue 100-day moving average. It is a bit unfortunate that we are struggling with the 100-day. Yet then again, as long as we do not break down below the 200-day, then the bulls should do fine. But it is incredibly important when you have a breakout above a resistance level. When you have a pullback in the future, you need to use the prior resistance level as a support level. Hence, this point right here is it's a make or break situation for the bulls. They absolutely need to show follow-through. All of this work is pointless if they cannot have that follow-through. And even in the case of a follow-through, let's look at some of the prior events. This was a breakthrough, measuring the rally from the low to the high, 113%. We get the double top and then we totally crash. Meaning, you need to protect your profits very, very carefully when you deal with Monero. The RSI is looking okay. As far as correlations go, there is a -7. Well, is it -7? It's almost impossible to tell. So difficult to tell. Let's use the daily data points then. Well, there is a 59% positive correlation between Monero and the S&P 500. Yes, so to sum up, we are for all intents and purposes still in a bear market. There is a clear downtrend. We have broken to a new low recently. Then again, we have seen 2 prior huge bull moves. We are yet again above the 200-day moving average, and we get above it right after a prior run. Hence, this little activity here, there is some bullishness happening. The bulls do not have leverage, but they are being more aggressive. If you look at this, you see that the bears were groveling for a long time until the bulls got to play again. Now this is happening much more quickly. Cryptocurrencies is a very interesting way to diversify, and I thought that I should show you how broad the investing universe is. You have stocks, of course, you have bonds, cryptos, which we just looked at, option contracts, you got forex, you got contracts for difference, ETFs, a very modern way to diversify. You got ETNs. ETFs and ETNs, they belong to the broader category called ETPs, exchange traded products. You got futures, forwards, futures, futures, that's a derivative that's most commonly used on actively traded commodities, as an example. Stuff like, crude oil, soybeans, wheat, hogs, cattle. Forwards are similar to futures, but forwards are used for, as an example, commodities that are not that frequently traded. Stuff like watermelons, coconuts, jet fuel, much more specific kinds of commodities. You can also invest in ideologic causes, like NGOs, political or religious organizations. It is actually an investment. The reason why a lot of the billionaires, they pour money into those things, it's not because they are just doing it out of charity. They know that they will be getting something back, hence there is a return on the investment. You got mutual funds, that's a classic. Hedge funds. Hedge funds can be a bit difficult to get access to, because many of them have rather strict criteria for who they want as clients, and the size of the initial investment is often significant. Savings accounts, you got annuities, real estate investment trusts, private equity, precious objects, that could be gold, it could also be art. Art has been an investment for quite some time. Yeah, precious metals, swaps, you can have your own company, real estate, prepping, especially relevant nowadays, P2P loans, skills, investing in yourself is always very valuable. And you have tokens, which is one of the offshoots of the crypto space. The nice thing about tokens is that you can own, as an example, a part of a super car or a yacht, just a part of it, like you own part of a company through stocks. Now let's look at the market power pyramid. This is really important. The most powerful out there, that's the derivatives market. and it has approximately $1 quadrillion US in market value. So derivatives market, it is extremely important. It is the king of all markets. Below the derivatives is the forex market, and approximately $5 trillion US are traded every day. Forex market is deep, liquid, and opens tremendous opportunities because it's so easy to go bullish or bearish. You then have the bond market, $95 trillion in market value. The bond market, it has a marketing problem. A lot of people, they find bonds to be very boring, but bonds are actually very interesting because you have much more leverage as a bondholder as an example, Apple, than you would if you have Apple stocks. Then you have the stock market, approximately $70 trillion in market value. And then finally, crypto, which we just looked at, it is tiny in comparison. Approximately $120 billion in market value, which is minuscule compared to the other ones above. Yes, we have looked a bit at Monero. The key thing about Monero is that it is all about secrecy, and the issue with that is Monero will attract a lot more attention than the other cryptocurrencies. That's the paradox for Monero. The intelligence agencies out there, they will assume that people who are really into Monero are using it to hide money, to hide what they spend their money on. And this is a broader thing. Whenever you try to be private, you will draw attention to yourself. The same thing happens when you use a VPN. The split second you use a VPN, okay, some of you might think this is a bit conspiratorial, but it is actually a fact that Snowden has talked much about. When you use a VPN, you will draw attention to yourself. You become a person of interest to intelligence agencies. That does not mean that there's individual agents looking at what you're doing. It is that the intelligence agencies, especially the military intelligence agencies, they have a bunch of computers that analyze enormous amounts of information. How deeply they analyze information, that depends on how interesting the activity is. Hence, regular use of the internet, looking at blogs and stuff like that, it's not really that interesting. However, the split second you download the Tor browser, or you get into VPNs, then more resources will be allocated to analyzing your data, because there's a higher probability that something that's interesting to them will pop up. So that is just something to be aware of if you are going to actually use Monero. Whatever you do, of course, you want to let the trend be your friend.